Well, a little bit of a white lie right off the bat because this is not the Damon Bruce show. We're going to have to make a new open to introduce this guy. Larry Krueger joins us for the Home and Home, a little something we like to do whenever we can in the afternoon to kind of frame what is going on in Bay Area sports. And Larry, we got a power half hour to deliver to the people today. Are you ready, my friend?
I am absolutely ready. Big Monday, lot to get into. Let's go.
I love that the Golden State Warriors destroy franchises. Now, they have not destroyed the Sacramento Kings, who have a very bright future ahead of them. But they've destroyed the James Harden Rockets. They've destroyed the Kevin Durant Clippers. They destroyed the Kevin Durant Thunder, the Chris Paul Clippers. They destroyed the Memphis Grizzlies. And they destroyed the LeBron Cleveland Cavaliers. And now I think they have a chance to not destroy the Lakers, but I don't know how many actual titles are going to be in front of either LeBron or Steph Curry's career. So this series, Larry, that starts tomorrow night is as big as the NBA, I think, has maybe ever been in its second round.
It's going to be a much anticipated series. It's an amazing GM job that Rob Pelinka did to even get to this point. The Lakers were DOA, man. They were absolutely gone. Westbrook, terrible cap situation. And Pelinka found a way to add Rui Hachimura, Mo Bamba, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, D'Lo, and change their entire outlook. And to me, it's a great statement about GMs need a GM and superstars just need to play. And LeBron is not a GM, and he tried to be the GM. And he went out and got Westbrook, and there was a terrible, ill-advised move, set the franchise back a year, and then Pelinka took over, and even though I'm sure LeBron gave the thumbs up to these deals, he wound up recreating this team with all these wing athletes and length and shooters, and the Lakers responded with an incredible run down the stretch, but the Kings are better than the Lakers, and the Warriors are going to put the Lakers away in 5.
That easy. See, I'm a little worried only because I think we got a serious size matchup for the Warriors to overcome. And Kevon Looney isn't just guarding a Domantas Sabonis now. Kevon Looney's going to be guarding Anthony Davis, who has just been in seek and destroy mode for the last about 2 months. He's been fabulous. He looks like a top 5 player in the league. Obviously, you got Wiggins and Draymond doing everything they can to slow down LeBron James. And then, to me, Rui Hachimura is, Larry, I don't know if you've actually been in the same room with that guy. He is gargantuan. And that is just a size problem that the Warriors, I think, are going to have a problem containing. They could lose games on the boards.
Guess who the Warriors' second leading rebounder was in Game 7?
Was it Steph Curry?
Steph Curry with 8. They need Wiggins to rebound. First of all, I agree. They need rebounding's huge. But the reason I have factored that in already is that Golden State needed to send 5 guys to the glass in this last series. And DiVincenzo's an excellent rebounding guard. And Gary Payton has a lot of potential to rebound. Steph is a really good rebounder. And Wiggins showed last year that when he emphasizes it and is worried about it and focuses on it, he also could be a really good rebounder. So, to me, I'm not saying the size won't be an issue for the Warriors, but I think more than anything, they just have to think about it and focus on it. And I think this last series has kind of made them do that. So I feel really good. I mean, I think Sacramento was a far greater challenge in this Laker team.
I would agree with you, and I think that there's one advantage here that I didn't think the Warriors were going to have maybe at any point in time in the playoffs based on their seeding. They got home court advantage.
Yeah.
The Warriors with home court advantage is a much different situation than the Warriors only get 3 games at home. And I don't know if they're going to need 7 games to get this done. I agree with you. They should beat the Lakers, but I'm having trouble coming up with the number. I really am. I'm having trouble coming up with the number 5, the gentleman's sweep, as you said. 6, it just feels right, maybe more right, because, dude, I mean, LeBron James and Anthony Davis are just playing out of their minds right now. And as long as, no Golden State Warrior is dumb enough to step up and play the motivational role of Dylan Brooks against these guys, they could handle the Lakers. But it ain't going to be easy. But I do love the fact that they're the home team. What a crazy sports world we have now, Larry, where seeding is basically irrelevant professionally. We saw 2 Game 7s in the NHL last night go to 8 seeds. We have seen we have seen the 16 actually have like a legitimate shot against 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament. You want to call that name, image, and likeness, whatever's evening out the college game. I don't know, but it really is a world right now that sports is offering where the regular season is not an indicator of what might happen in the postseason.
No doubt. And also, I think the player turnover that you see in all these sports is directly responsible. You don't see teams stay together for years and years and years, so they oftentimes don't have that chemistry that is so difficult to defeat. And I just think that has a lot to do with it. In college, you don't see, the NCAA tournament is a collection of different kinds of teams. You've got, blue blood, awesome teams, but they're all made up of freshmen and sophomores and blue chippers and guys who are headed to the NBA. And then you got Princeton. And then ultimately you got a team that's going to win is some team in between, like a Connecticut. They've got some guys who are going to the NBA, but they also have some veterans. They're pretty well coached. They play together as a team. So, I mean, it's changed the dynamic, I think, of sports a lot. And in the regular season, especially in the NBA, I mean, Charles Barkley called the playoffs the second season, for years ago. And it's because it's really like it's like guys coast in the regular season. I mean, Draymond Green said it, 2 months ago or about a month ago, a month and a half. Hey, it's hard for me to get fired up for games in March. Okay. All right. Well, to me, that was a tone deaf comment since you got people sitting literally next to you that paid like $2,500 a ticket and you're telling them that you can't get up for it. But at the same time, he's probably right. He's probably right. I said this throughout the year. The Warriors can win the title from any seed in the West. And there was all these people at the radio station acting like, oh my God, if they have to play in the play-in tournament, they're cooked. I don't know. It sounds good, but I don't know if I believe it. But I just think that it doesn't. It's so much more about now matchups. It's a match, especially the NBA. It's so much about who you play and how you match up with them. And I think the Warriors match up great here against the Lakers. I mean, I think I think the Warriors can throw a defensive blanket on Austin Reeves and take his offense away. Well, they can defend him with bigger, more athletic players that bother him. I think, Jonathan Kuminga was a total non-factor in the first round, will be a much bigger factor in the second round. You can stick him on LeBron, and if you wanted to, he could bother LeBron. But the biggest impact, I think, is, look at the Lakers in this Memphis series. When they really kicked butt, D'Lo went off. And if you can put GP2 on D'Lo, and you can, I think he can do an awful lot to snuff out D'Lo. He's a bigger, essentially, they're basically the same height, but GP2 is essentially bigger because he's got longer arms. He's stronger. He's tenacious defensively. He had an incredibly tough cover against Monk or Fox, and now he gets Russell, who's, I think, going to be a much easier cover by comparison. So I think this sets up nicely for Golden State. I really do.
Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole need to join the party in this round. Both of those guys. I think that the two of them struggled mightily against the Kings, and it was an up-and-down performance. If you're talking a gentleman's sweep, if you're talking Warriors really in 5, Klay and Jordan Poole show up and contribute 20, 25 points a night. The guy who never came off the bench as the scorer, except for the one Draymond Green game where he came off the bench and scored 21 for the first time in, years. I just don't think that there's any wiggle room there. They're going to have the now assumed usual production from the starting 5 and 20 from somebody off the bench.
DiVincenzo's got to give him more offense. There's no question. But if I was Steve Kerr, I think I would say I would talk to Clay and to Poole. I agree with you totally, Damon. Those guys have to give them a better second round than they did a first round. And the two things I would say to Jordan Poole, I would say, you know what? Nobody can defend you off the dribble. You've got, a lightning pack attached to your back. Just go to the hole, attack the rim. For every 1-3 you take, attack the rim 3 times. And go to the line, attack the rim, go to the line, and don't settle for threes unless we're having some unbelievable hot stretch and you're really feeling it. But especially early in games, attack the rim, draw the fouls, go to the line, get them in the bonus, be part of the master plan, Jordan. Okay, that's 1. 2, for Klay Thompson, don't stop. Clay's not just hunting shots. He's hunting old Clay. No more hunting old Clay. How about this?
Stop chasing ghosts.
How about this? When you get it rolling, you're a revelation from 3 like you used to be. But it's rolling a lot less frequently these days, and sometimes he's shooting you out of games in the attempt to get it rolling. But if you notice this other thing, Klay Thompson in the mid-range with the shoulders squared is about as sure a shot as there is in the league. He just needs to square up some twos, get in that mid-range, and take a ton of shots. I don't even care if he's a gunner and takes, way more shots than anybody else. I just want to see Klay with the shoulders squared in the mid-range. Klay with that in the shoulders squared in the mid-range, Damon, I think he's borderline unstoppable. His shot is so pure. His range is awesome, but he and I know he loves to shoot the 3 ball, and it's tied to his identity. But I think they could win the title riding Klay in the mid-range. He's a 6'7" 2 guard who in the mid-range could be deadly. I mean, you watch KD do it at 6'11". You're a 6'7", do it. Just rise up over 6'4" guys in the mid-range and knock those shots down all day. I want to see a lot of mid-range 2s from Klay.
One more on the Warriors before we turn our attention to the NFL draft, because for the NFL draft, there's a couple of mock drafts that I read. There's the information. There's the Big Ten that I watch. And by the way, thanks to the 49ers, they were drafted in the Big Ten like it was their job this year. Larry Krueger, you are my go-to draftnik. So I'm very interested in what you think, more interested in what you think than what Mel Kiper Jr. thinks. And I know he wasn't very impressed by the 49ers draft at all. But one more look back at what I think is beyond Steve Young throwing 6 touchdowns in a Super Bowl, maybe the greatest playoff performance in Bay Area history. What Steph Curry did, unprecedented for a Game 7, unprecedented for that amount of shots made in a closeout game. He was otherworldly, and I think he dropped the single greatest game of his career. The only one that you could really hold up next to it would be the game in Boston in the NBA Finals, but that was not a gots to have it or you're going home for the offseason game. It would have put the Warriors in a perilous place, for sure. But getting a 50-point night out of Steph Curry when no one else was really bringing it other than Looney from a rebounding standpoint, I think it's the greatest performance of his entire life.
I agree. I mean, maybe you could go to Davidson in some of those tournament games.
Right,
because he was pretty spectacular back then. And Steph's had some amazing games. But Klay wasn't there. Poole wasn't there. I mean, it wasn't going. Wiggins, it was like there was a cap on the bucket. They had no other offense. It was both an incredible performance by Steph Curry and I love this guy, but one of the worst coaching jobs of all time by Mike Brown. Come on, Mike Brown. If I'm a Sacramento fan, look what happened in the game when he started to double Steph and force the ball. Suddenly Sacramento, even though they were down 21, started kind of creeping back. Why? Because nobody else was doing shit offensively. And you're allowing this. You allowed the best shooter in the world and a guy who gets hotter than anybody. You let this guy get hotter than fish grease when nobody else on the floor can shoot to save their life. Nobody else had any confidence at all. And you allowed a guy to dominate you and didn't force the ball out of his hands. Double team him. Make Jordan Poole beat you. The Warriors won this series because the Warriors were smarter than the Kings. Let's all say it. That one game that Kings could have won on the Harrison Barnes great look at the end. That was a great defensive play by Steph and a great defensive play by Draymond to understand that, you know what, we're going to live or die with anybody besides Fox beating us. We're not letting Fox beat us. You want to kick it to Harrison Barnes and he beats us? We live with it. We're not letting you beat us. And where was Mike Brown? It's game 7 and you're running out all kinds of weird lineups and you're not doubling Steph and you already had proof at this point that Poole's not into it, that he's having a bad series, that Wiggins is having just a ridiculous. Wiggins was just, it was amazing how many times he rimmed out. Clearly the pressure bothered him. Who else was out there?
By the way,
Draymond Green, Kevon Looney.
Who gets bothered by more Game 7 pressure than Harrison Barnes? I don't know how the Kings bring him back. I don't care if he's a spokesman for the team. That guy pissed down his own leg in another Game 7. What more do you need to know? How
about Herder?
Draymond basically said there are 82-game players and there are 16-game players. Harrison Barnes is an 82-game player. He ain't a 16-game player.
Yeah, I believe that too. And I love the Senator. The Black Falcon. I think he's one of the classiest guys I've met. Great guy. When this guy takes teenagers for Christmas shopping trips and foots the bill. And, I met him. He came into the studio at KMBR when he was a rookie and after that draft and and then he followed me on Twitter.
Oh, dude, he's a weekly guest on my show, and we do follow each other on Twitter. I feel terrible ripping him because he's such a good guy.
Yeah. This Harrison Barnes is the kind of guy you'd want your daughter to marry. He's just solid. He's just a terrific person, and his heart's in the right place, and he's smart, and but it's just the I don't know what happens. It's like, and he looked great at the start of this series, and Herder did too. If Sacramento had gotten their game 1 and game 2, Herder and Barnes, they maybe win the series, but. Yeah. Those two guys made a huge negative impact by just being zeros offensively.
The Warriors didn't win a single
the final
game
3 games?
The Warriors didn't win a single game in this series without Kevon Looney having at least 14 rebounds. And he went north of 20 in this series 3 different times. He was Moses Malone. I didn't know that he had that in him. And, someone's asking, does Kevon Looney go to the Hall of Fame? I can answer your question right now. That's a definitive never. Kevon Looney is not a Hall of Fame basketball player, but what he is a candidate to have his jersey retired by the Golden State Warriors, and he is in the front of the statue with Steph, Clay, and Dre. That's who he is now.
The guy knows how to play. The guy knows how to play.
But he's not a Hall of Famer.
Not a Hall of Famer, but, he's a role player, but he's an unbelievable player.
He is.
I thought for a while that Kerr had too much devotion to the man he calls Loon.
Yep.
But I see it now. I see it.
Yeah.
It's like this guy single-handedly beat the Kings in Game 7. Single-handedly dominated the third quarter. That stat.
0 points for Sabonis in the third. 0.
The stat that jumped out was the stat at the end of, was it quarter 3? What was that stat where it was like 33-9 or something like that, or 26-9 or something like that as far as offensive glass? Oh, it was 22-9 rebound edge for the Warriors in the third quarter. And Looney had 3 20-plus rebound games. Not to mention, this guy's played all 82 games the last couple of years. He's just very, very solid. He makes every smart pass. He tips the ball to himself. He's just a guy's a genius. He's a basketball, and he's got the, there's no false steps. This guy finds a way to defend in the post and at the same time position his body so that he's still an effective closeout guy on perimeter shooters. I mean, he sandwiches himself in the exact spot where he's a double threat. And the passing, they can run their offense through him. He doesn't look to shoot. He sets screens. He rolls to the bucket. I mean, the guy's – it's amazing. It's amazing that on a team that had Kevon Looney, you could not get James Wiseman to develop.
Isn't that weird?
You couldn't really show him.
Weird.
And I know you're a world's better athlete than this guy. Just do what he does. Can't do it.
Follow the lead of that guy.
Right.
Always appreciate the questions in the chat that come in. Thanks very much to Fish and Chips for putting a little jingle jangle in there. I believe he's dropping 2 great British pounds in the jar today. He's over in London.
There you go.
Or Lancaster. Thank you so much, Fish and Chips. Real quick, and then we're going to talk about the draft. Amin the Dream says, hi, Larry and Bruce. After yesterday's performance, where would you rank Curry all time? First of all, his career isn't over, so I don't want to get into any all-time debate. Is he the greatest point guard of all time? Is he at least top 3 point guards of all time? I mean, I don't think that is too much of a stretch to say that he has officially joined the top 3. I would have it as, and there's a little bias in my answer because I'm a huge Isaiah Thomas guy, but I also think he's got the bona fides to make that argument. I would take Isaiah Thomas over John Stockton personally.
Where's Kid in this? Where's Magic?
Well, it's Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, and Steph Curry as the 3 best point guards ever. Now, if you need, and you probably don't need on your all-time team a shoot-first point guard, that's where I could see, Isaiah and Magic, who, was 6'9", and you just can't fake 6'9". And he was a better passer than Steph Curry ever was. John Stockton was a better passer than Steph Curry ever was. So maybe he would be better on your all-time team because of just who would be around him. But I think I figured out the right way to frame Steph Curry. Since everyone needs to frame everyone in their all-time status and where they are at all times, what I think it is, Larry, is this. Steph Curry is the single greatest non-physical freak in the history of the NBA. Anyone that you could even make an argument is better than him has some physical attribute that has been just, this human being was kissed on the forehead by Zeus himself. We're talking about LeBron, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 7-footers, Kevin Durant, 7-footer with his skill level. If Steph Curry were 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", he really might have an argument to be made as greatest of all time. But size does matter in the NBA. It really does. So I do think, though, to properly find a way to label Steph, he is the single greatest non-physical freak of all time.
I think his greatness supersedes basketball. To me, he's one of the greatest hand-eye coordination athletes this country's ever produced. Look how great a golfer he is.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the guy shoots. Did you see that footage the other day? Now, there was that joke shot that was not, they made it look like, it was enhanced or somehow changed. You saw that flip shot he had. But you see him the other night shooting from half court, making like 7, 8 out of 9 or something, whatever it was. It's like, come on. This guy's hand-eye coordination is spectacular. Spectacular. Greatest hand-eye coordination athlete maybe ever. I mean, he's just an amazing hand-eye coordination guy. But as far as point guards go, I mean, there's different eras, different styles of play. How do you even compare Magic Johnson, who ran the Showtime break, 6'9", tipped center as a rookie in Game 7 of the game? Was it Game 6 of the finals or whatever it was? Or was it Game 7? No, Game 7, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At the Spectrum, and was it 40, 42, 14, and 7 or something like that? It was an amazing performance. Where do you put Iverson in this mix? I saw Iverson in his prime, and he played with Eric Snow, who was like perfect complementary player, but
dwarfed by Curry as a leader.
Yeah, but I mean, there was something truly spectacular about Iverson.
He was great. He was great, but he's no
great.
Steph Curry.
I'm thinking of smallish guys because you were saying who's small guys that are
Right.
I mean, I guess the only other one I could think of, I mean, I'm well before my time or your time, but Bob Cousy. Bob Cousy.
Stop it. I'm not taking a single Caucasian guy from black and white footage.
I'm just saying, but I mean, Bob Cousy was incredible in his era, though. I mean, it's different eras, different things going on, but I'm just saying, hand-eye coordination, Mark Price. I mean, there were some good ones, but Steph's the other thing is Steph's a better athlete than people think. He's stronger than people think.
Yep.
He got
his
Steph
50
Curry,
going to the rim. I mean, he got his 50 going to the rim, not from downtown.
Not only that, I mean, his ability to finish in traffic, in the trees, off the glass, with all kinds of English. It's a crazy, you expect it to go. His circuit, think about it this way. You never, ever go, what? As he's taking a shot, ever. And even his circus shots, you expect them to go.
Yeah.
He's in traffic, under the hoop, flips it up, English, top of the board, spin. Oh, it didn't go? What? It's like he's absolutely amazing. The thing that really stands out is we judge the book by its cover, and the cover is Steph Curry's face, and we forget that he's just a stone cold killer when it comes down to being a competitor. And that's what makes it that much more special.
What I'm worried about is the Lakers aren't going to give Steph nearly the physical respect that Mike Brown and the Kings did. I've been saying this for years. If I were playing against the Golden State Warriors, I would beat the living shit out of Steph Curry and push him into the field goal, and I would be glad getting guys ejected. I mean, I would beat the shit out of Steph Curry if I were coaching against him. And no one does that. And I don't know why. I'm not suggesting anyone should, but that's what I would do if I were coaching against him. I would pound him onto the ground every single time he jumped in the air. He'd be coming down on his own rear end if I were coaching against Steph Curry.
If these teams were smart, they'd go after GP2. GP2, and Steph said it, GP2 in practice gives them trouble. I mean, why people don't see that? Why nobody, you can talk about defense, but it's all lip service when GP2 only gets $8 million offers.
Right. Oh, and by the way, Curry would have gotten put on his ass driving in the lane 25 years ago. Yes, he would have. A lot of love coming in for Damon and Larry. I've been putting up while we've been talking, some just love for you and I. There's a lot of love out there. Got some congratulations on the success of the first month. Look, one of the reasons why I'm so successful is because of my good friend Larry, who's been a mentor, been an advisor in this whole new journey that I'm on, and I thank him very, very much. But no time for platitudes. I got to go get kids here in about 2-3 minutes, Larry.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yes.
I would have lost my house if the bet was, are the 49ers going to draft an offensive lineman in this draft? I would have bet the house on, yes, of course they're going to draft an offensive lineman. They didn't. Why?
I think they thought offensive line early, but the real premier offensive linemen go off the board so early, and they just didn't have an early pick. And then there were a lot of attractive offensive linemen late, and they got a guy after the draft in Joey Fisher that they really like. They also really like Colton McKivitz. They like Spencer Burford. They've got some good depth there. And I predicted this, actually. I said that this year, safety, like last year, everybody thought they were going to get a safety. They didn't. I said this year that's going to be offensive line. They believe more in the guys they have right now than the public does.
How do you feel about a kicker? I don't mind it. I know it's very
I don't mind it either.
Unpopular, but go ahead and look at every single franchise's career scoring leader. It's a kicker. Not a quarterback, not a wide receiver, not a running back. It's a kicker. And if Moody is what he was suggesting he could be as a Groza winner and a guy who had a huge leg in Ann Arbor, not an easy place to kick, I think he could do very well for the 49ers. He's got a huge shoe to fill in Robbie Gold's shoes, who obviously, never missed a playoff field goal.
If he's Roberto Aguayo, we're gonna talk about it forever. He played 1 year. He was a second-round pick a couple years ago, washed out. If he's Justin Tucker or Seabass, like Janikowski, first-round kicker that basically did it for 20 years, nobody's going to care that he was a compensatory late third, almost the equivalent of a fourth. I do believe he would have been drafted before their pick came up in the fifth. His nickname is Money. Jim Harbaugh said he was the greatest kicker in Michigan history. But we'll see. There's always a transition, Damon. Kicking in the NFL, there's different. The kickers could talk about the differences. There are significant differences, and you never know. But they obviously felt like they wanted to make the investment, and it's like a kicker is like a great doctor. You don't really care who your great doctor is until you need a great doctor, and you're like damn happy that you got a great doctor, right? So
I like that.
I got that from Rob Stats Guerrera the other day, but he's totally right.
That. I like the job Rob does too. I've been watching his YouTube channel. So look, man, my favorite pick for the 49ers in this draft is far and away Christian McCaffrey. Who was yours?
I love Darrell Luter, the cornerback from South Alabama. Just really long arms. I think he's going to start over Diamador Lenore. Great athlete, mature guy, married, serious, strong. I think the difference this year, the real big theme is Steve Wilks comes in. Wilks has a great propensity to work with DBs, to eye good DB talent. He brings in Jair Brown from Penn State. Great pick. He brings in Darrell Luter Jr. From South Alabama. And the 49ers got a guy after the draft who you got to go watch the YouTube highlights of this guy. He's a Texas corner / return man, Deshaun Jameson, like Antoine Jameson, but Deshaun Jameson. Phenomenal undrafted free agent,
right.
Locked to make the roster, and those three guys I think were the highlight of the draft.
Larry knows so much about the draft. He likes guys who aren't drafted. I mean,
wasn't drafted, and the guy's a baller.
You're incredible, Larry. I will say this. Remember how when you and I were sitting in the 49ers war room, and as soon as they drafted A.J. Jenkins, I said, well, I watch a lot of Big Ten football, and I never even fucking heard of this guy. I have absolutely heard of Jair Brown. Jair Brown is a thumper.
Damon, I don't know why you're so negative about A.J. Jenkins. You think you know everything about football, and the truth is, Damon, I've been doing this segment with you here, and I'm just really disappointed. I would like it more, Damon, if you had a torn ACL and just shut up sometimes.
That's my Trent Baalke.
Oh, you didn't have to tell me, Trent. I thought I was talking to you for a second. It's a good thing you're on camera. I would assume you'd been kidnapped.
Do you remember what he said to us that night?
I wrote A.J. Jenkins' name down, and I put it in an envelope, and
I don't care if you put it in a freaking gold chalice and handed it to Snoop Dogg and smoked a blunt. It was a terrible pick.
And then Jim Harbaugh, takes Colin Kaepernick and says, yeah, I wrote his name down and put it in an envelope.
Nothing was more awkward than when I asked Jim Harbaugh the simple, basic question of, Jim, tell us what you like about A.J. Jenkins.
Yeah.
He's an athlete.
He's an athlete and played in a good conference, tell you that. And it's a lot to like there. A lot to like. That was about it. That was almost the entirety of his answer.
This is awesome, like the good old days of driving home radio. Love listening from beautiful Northern Idaho. Thank you so much. Good to have the Potato State checking in.
There you go.
Larry, speaking of potatoes, I'm sure the kids are going to want French fries again for dinner tonight, and I got to go get them right now from daycare. as Jillian is making sure the house doesn't fall down because I either betted on the 49ers drafting an offensive lineman or just happened to not be making the stack of money that I used to at this particular time. So she's working very hard for the family. That makes me Mr. Mom. Thank you so very much. This was a quick home and home. Let's try to figure out when we're going to be doing this throughout the week. It is the segment that everyone wants. And I'll tell you, next time we'll do it on your channel, hence the home and home. Thank you so much, Larry Krueger.
Have a good day. Good to see you.
The same. There he is, Larry Krueger. Brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, baby. That's my guy. And I want to, one more time, thank my sponsors who officially came on board today. They're going to get graphically name dropped. First of all, my man Ike of Ike's Sandwiches is a longtime friend. It's thrilling to have him aboard. The man does not do traditional media deals. Well, this is new media. This ain't traditional media, and I really appreciate him reaching out to support me. And Blackened Whiskey. Fantastic whiskey, an American-made whiskey backed by Metallica. I mean, it is delicious. It is fantastic at a price point that is just begging for you to pick up a bottle. Go ahead and pick up a bottle of Blackened. Thanks to all of you for tuning in here. I wish we had more time, but again, Jack and Ozzy are calling, and I got to go get the boys. Thank you so much for tuning in for Home and Home. I will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. right here on the Plus. In the meantime, thank you so much for tuning in, and please do remember that sports don't build character, they reveal it, and like that,